Well, alright everybody, this is Paul Pease, aka Psyko's Platters here, of course powered by coffee. This is a response video to a contest that has been created by Sloop John H, which by the way, I like that name. I get it. That's really cool. I'm a Beach Boys fan too. But this is in regards to his 100 subs contest, which, you know what, Sloop? That's what I'm going to call you. Congrats to getting to that milestone. Wish I had a Beach Boys shirt to wear. I don't. I got the Mighty Metallica today. So, and by the way, Sloop, I saw the response video to my 250 subs contest and liked it very much. So, if you haven't seen that contest video, please go to my page. But that's not what we're talking about this very minute. You asked 5 questions in your video. We're just going to go down one by one. Question number 1, some of the parents' records that they listen to. It's a really good question, actually, because I had to dig up in my brain here. I'm going to be 49 later this year. I know that, let's go down this way first. My real dad, who I never met, she told me, my mom did, that he was a huge Dylan fan. Yes, he had, like, at that point in time, so that would have been 67, he had every Dylan record. That's what she always told me. He had a lot of Dylan albums. So that must have been where I got my love for Dylan, though, because I really do like Bob Dylan. And the way he sings in tongues. But seriously, so I know, like I said, my real dad liked Bob Dylan, so he had a lot of Dylan records. My mom, I remember when I was a kid going through her record collection. She had mostly albums. She had a handful of 45s. But for some reason that I remember, she mostly was on a Motown kick. Stevie Wonder was her biggest in the collection. She had a lot of Stevie Wonder albums. And she would buy some of them brand new in the 70s because I get to listen to them. And I can even picture me as a 6 or 7-year-old boy flipping through these Stevie Wonder records. She had a little bit of Marvin Gaye. She had some James Taylor. And that's about all I really honestly can remember for her collection. And then my stepdad, who came along into the picture by the time I was 9, he didn't have too many. I remember that he had maybe a Janis Joplin album or 2, because for some reason he really dug Janis, which was cool, you know. So maybe some of those records helped a little bit in the base of what I liked, but I also would say no, because I came across, you know, even though I came across some of these on the record player, I came across some of these by pure accident, or just listening to other people's collections later on down the line. But that's some of what my parents were listening to at the time. Question 2, name a record that you just can't wait to be reissued. Well, I'll tell you something about that. I like a lot of classic rock, but I also, how do I explain this? Most of my collection is 50s to 80s. Alright, 50s to 80s. But as far as for a record that I would love to have reissued, I'm going to have to throw my ignorance out here for a second. Okay? Because I'm from Chicagoland originally, even though I'm down here in Northwest Arkansas. I originally was from the Chicagoland area. And ever since I was even a preteen, I fell in love with the Chicago area bands. Stuff that in the 60s and 70s they made hits. One of the things I still kick my ass on, But you know what? I was just starting. Everybody made rookie mistakes. Okay. I found at a flea market, I know I did because I remember this, a copy of Breakthrough from New Colony 6 on Centaur. That's a very high dollar record. Very collectible. Very short run record. Now, I know Sundazed and Rhino put out New Colony stuff, but I don't recall if they ever put that particular album as a reissue. If nobody has, I'd love to see that. Another one I would have told you, but they just actually reissued it in the last few months. Shadows of Night on Super K from 1968, Super K Records. That one, even though it's not worth a ton, is a tough album to get for some reason. And Cherry Red Records, I think, finally reissued it. So those, I'd say, would be the reissues. Now, I'm going to go off and tell you really quick here things I'd like to see come out. So this would be first-time stuff, but stuff that's been languishing in the vault. How about Monkeys Live in Japan, 1968? I really would like to see that. That was in late October 68. They did some excellent shows over there, and I know the audio exists because I've heard it on YouTube. They need to put that and press that onto vinyl. Beatles Anthology. Well, you know what? How about those two? That'll be another part of my answer. All the Beatles anthologies need to be reissued. It's 20 years ago, if I remember correctly, at least late last year, early into this year, it was 20 years ago. But from what I'm led to believe, there is enough material to make a volume 4 of anthology, and I think they really need to put it out for the Beatle fans. So those two, I wish they would put out. There was something else that was going to come to my head, and I can't remember now. Best blind buy that I ever got for question 3. Well, I'll tell you this: is I've got a 45 and I've got an album story for this. All right, 45. Believe it or not, I ended up finding this very obscure rockabilly single from 1956 on Sky Records. The name, unfortunately, is escaping me this very minute. I'm sorry. But I found it at a resale shop, big cardboard box of 45s. And if it's one thing that I've learned over the last few years, if it's cheap enough, if it's kind of odd, grab it. And even though that particular 45 was okay as far as for the music was concerned, I just couldn't get over how valuable the thing is. In the condition I've got it in, it was between $1,000 and $1,500. Just for this 45, I was like, wow. Now, as far as for the album is concerned, I happen to be in this, we'll call it a collectibles store. But a few years ago, me and my 2 partners in my Knights of the Round Turntable video group, we made a trek out to Harrison, Arkansas, and I didn't buy that much that day because the guy wanted $5 a piece for his albums. I was like, ouch, you know. But I grabbed I want to say it was like a near mint condition white label promo of the 1976 Flo and Eddie album Moving Targets. That whole album is like great from beginning to end. I was very pleased. I enjoyed it. So that was one of the best LP blind buys I've ever done. Number 4, favorite place to buy vinyl. Well, I'll tell you something. If I still was living in the Chicagoland area, I'd have a lot more answers for you. But down here in Northwest Arkansas, it's kind of hard. As far as for name brand vinyl stuff, We've got a chain around here that's like 3 or 4 states in the chain, called Vintage Stock. They'll have used and mostly new vinyl, but they'll have used vinyl too. And sometimes they'll surprise me. Sometimes they will not know what they put out, and I can get some excellent stuff at 99 cents, like I did with that early 80s Japanese import. The Verve. It was on Verve Records. It was I'm so tired. I'm sorry. Stan Getz. That Getz one, the Getz Gilberto. Found that for 99 cents. I couldn't believe that. Or the Ike and Tina Turner I found for 99 cents. That was in mint condition. I even found a goofy late 60s Japanese Psych single for 99 cents in there. And then other stuff like beat up condition they'll stick ridiculous amounts on. It doesn't make sense. So Vintage Stock is a main one. There is one record store, one physical brick and mortar record store in Fayetteville, Arkansas called Block Street Records. I'll go there once every couple months. The $1 to $2 bins are kind of decent, so I'll check those out mostly. And then lastly, I guess I've got 5 to 6 different resale shops that I go within a 10-minute drive of total of each other. I call that my circuit, and I'll usually do the circuit at least once a week, maybe twice. And that's how I shop for my vinyl, honestly. That's my favorite places to look. Let's see. Number 5 here, favorite import record. You asked me my favorite import record or import records that I'm looking for. Well, let's see. I came across in my collection. I'm sorry I'm not being able to show you anything right now, but I've got, how do I say this, extra family over that are occupying that room, and I'm not going to go digging while they're sleeping. But I've got, let's see, I found a French import of Crying Shames. That's another good 60s Chicago band. Let's see, I got a little bit of Canadian Beatles. I've got, what else do I got? Let's see, I've got some German Monkeys 45s from the 60s. The ones that I'm honestly looking for, though, alright, my favorite import records that I am looking for. I'm looking for an original UK press of the Beatles' White Album in mono. I would so love that. Or, well, okay, not or, and I know that they put out Monkeys, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones, and Birds, Bees, and Monkeys in mono in the States, but they seem to be very hard to get a hold of. It's a little more easier to get them in the imports. I'm not really well versed at this minute. My friend Doug Fields has got a mono I'm trying to get from him, but yeah, I want to say either it's Canada or England or Australia has got genuine mono presses of those 2 albums, and I would love to get a hold of those. But as far as for imports are concerned, I've got odds and ends I've found over the years. Nothing more than what I've told you, though. So, once again, Sloop John H., congrats on your 100 subs, and congrats to this contest. If it's one thing that I actually like from the VC, is how everybody seems to come up with these thought-provoking contests. I love it. Makes your mind move a little bit. Alright, guys, so you know what? If you're watching this, please subscribe to both of our channels, because you know what? I can tell from Sloop's videos, he's intriguing, he brings things to the table. I think we all try to do that in the VC. So take care, God bless, rock on, and see you next time.